We've created a character, crafted our ship, and are well on our way to exploring the galaxy. But there's still plenty of Starfield left to talk about. My name is Codiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're diving deep into one of my favorite topics when it comes to new video games, progression. I'm excited to announce that Legacy Gaming is giving away copies of Starfield, and you can enter right now for your chance to win. To learn more, head over to our website legacygaming.gg and click on the News tab up top. Follow the instructions, enter for your chance to win, and good luck. If you're just checking out the channel for the first time, I'd recommend you take a peek at the first 3 videos in this series. Not only have we covered the basics of what Starfield is, but we've also unpacked some of the biggest systems in the game, including space exploration, major cities, factions, and much more. No good RPG is complete without a deep and interconnected progression system, and to understand that, we have to take things all the way back to character customization and really explore how backgrounds and traits can influence our character right from the beginning of the game. As we've discussed previously, backgrounds provide some details about who you are in Starfield. Each option comes with a little story, so the RP element of the game is alive and well. When and where this background will matter in the world is still largely a mystery, as the developers have pointed out before. You'll never know when your background will come into play, but they will. The team has even gone so far as to showcase the Beast Hunter background having a unique dialogue option when conversing with someone in the middle of a luxury restaurant. It's those sorts of curveball moments the team is hoping to set up, but until players have dozens of hours with the game, it'll be hard to know when and where all of these backgrounds will come into play. What's more potent is the starting skills that come along with choosing a background. Now, it's important to understand that your selection here is, as far as we know, permanent, so what you choose as your background can't be undone. That being said, skills are a rather flexible system, and just because you start with a skill doesn't mean you need to fully invest in it if your desire to play a different way means foregoing one skill that's tied to your background. That being said, let's take a look at some of the backgrounds we've already seen to give you a sense of what options you'll have at the start of the game. We've seen the details of at least 6 backgrounds, so check these out. There's Chef, which has the starting skills Gastronomy, Dueling, and Scavenging. Combat Medic, which has the starting skills Pistol Certification, Medicine, and Wellness. Cyberrunner, which has the starting skills Stealth, Security, and Theft. Cyberneticist, which has the starting skills Medicine, Security, and Lasers. Diplomat, which has the starting skills Persuasion, Commerce, and Wellness. And finally, Explorer, which has the starting skills Lasers, Astrodynamics, and Survey. Honestly, I recommend you pause the video and read the text blurbs under each skill, because while not entirely clear from this menu, you can get a sense for how the skill will impact your gameplay. We'll talk about some of the known skills and their enhancements in just a bit, but we do still have more to talk about before we can move on. While we haven't seen all of the backgrounds, we do know the names of some other options, including Beast Hunter, Bouncer, Bounty Hunter, Gangster, Homesteader, Industrialist, Long Hauler, Pilgrim, Professor, and Ronin. One of the benefits of a futuristic space game is that the team can really stretch their wings in terms of creative freedom. Things like Bounty Hunter feel right at home next to something like Professor because the spectrum of what's believable is so wide considering the content of the game. What that really boils down to is options for players, and options are a great thing. Things don't stop there, and I want to take a second to revisit the second system tied to character customization, traits. While not something that can be leveled up or enhanced throughout the course of the game, traits are an important building block that have gameplay impact. Much like your background, players will have the option to choose up to 3 of these during the character creation process. You can choose to allocate a trait to all 3 slots or choose any number from 0 to 3, depending on the character you're hoping to create. Nonetheless, we've seen a good number of these traits already, so I wanted to run through what they are and their impact in the game because I think they're pretty interesting. Hero Worshipped will trigger an adoring fan to show up randomly throughout your adventures. He'll join your ship's crew and even give you some gifts. You might remember this character from the Elder Scrolls Oblivion days, a little throwback to something of a fan favorite moment from nearly 2 decades ago. Another trait is Introvert, allowing you to use less O2 when adventuring alone, but using more O2 when adventuring with companions. This trait can't be combined with Extrovert, which I assume will have the opposite effects. Kid Stuff is an interesting trait. When you assign this trait, you'll be able to visit your parents somewhere in the game world, but you'll have to send back 2% of your total credits every week. Honestly, I have no idea what the positive effect of this trait is, but I'd imagine they'll give you some sort of gift or experience boost, something of that nature. The Neon Street Rat trait grants you access to special dialogue options and better rewards for some missions on Neon. However, your crime bounty by other factions is greatly increased. This trait can't be combined with any other faction allegiance trait. An interesting trait is Raised Enlightened, which gives you access to a special chest full of items in the House of Enlightened in New Atlantis. However, you can no longer access the Sanctum Universum chest, and this can't be combined with any other religious trait. On the flip side, you have Raised Universal, which grants you access to a special chest full of items in Sanctum Universum in New Atlantis. If you choose this, you can no longer access the House of Enlightened chest, and this can't be combined with any other religious trait. Another trait is Serpent's Embrace. While grab jumping, you'll gain a temporary boost to health and endurance. However, health and endurance are lowered if you don't jump regularly. This trait can't be combined with other religious traits. There's also the Spaced trait, which grants increased health and endurance when in space. However, health and endurance are decreased when on the planet's surface. This trait can't be combined with Terra Firma, which again I imagine has the opposite effects. One trait that wasn't on the list in the June Starfield Direct, but might still pop up at some point, is called Starter Home, which allows you to own a small house on a peaceful moon. Sadly, this comes with a 50,000 credit mortgage from Gal Bank. My thinking here is that this was in place before the Outpost system was really fleshed out, but now that you can create an outpost on nearly every planet, this seems almost unnecessary. Finally, we have Wanted, which gives you a damage buff when your health is low, but you will have to deal with random mercenaries that show up to try and hunt you down. We also saw a number of traits without any details, including Alien DNA, Dream Home, Empath, Extrovert, Freestar Collective Settler, Taskmaster, Terra Firma, and United Colonies Native. It's amazing to think you'll have to make so many important decisions before ever stepping off on your grand adventure, but the Bethesda team has said they're excited to reintroduce these sorts of impactful game systems back into the starting point of the game because it helps establish character identity. For those that are curious, they did leave the door open to remove traits if that's something you feel so inclined to do. If backgrounds and traits are the first step to building a character, then the second step is understanding skills, and this is really a central aspect of your character's progression within Starfield. The team was rather candid that this approach to skills combines what's worked in the past in previous Bethesda games with some new ideas. As you level up, you'll gain skill points. That's pretty standard fare. But once you unlock a skill, you'll then have to complete challenges to gain access to the next rank of that skill. For example, when you unlock security, you'll also unlock the first challenge to pick 5 locks. Once you do that, you'll have access to rank 2 of that skill. This is true of every skill across the 5 major categories: physical, social, combat, science, and tech. While not specifically stated, my guess is that once you gain access to a new rank of the skill, you'll then use a skill point to lock in the upgrade. You'll also need those skill points to unlock the initial skill, so as you can see, it's progression tied to gameplay, tied back to progression. We've only seen a few skill details in full, but these are the skills that we know of at this point. In the physical tree, we know of decontamination and neurostrikes. In the social tree, we know of intimidation, leadership, and xenosociology. In the combat tree, we know of ballistics, demolition, heavy weapon certification, marksmanship, rapid reloading, sniper certification, and targeting. In the science tree, we know of astrophysics, chemistry, and outpost engineering. Finally, in the tech tree, we know of boost pack training, missile weapon systems, particle beam weapon systems, robotics, payloads, targeting control system, and security. The final traditional progression system is one we've come to know and love across a number of different genres, and that is research. Previously, we talked about building an outpost, and one of the things that you can do on that outpost is conduct research at a research lab. Keep in mind, we've seen very little of this system, but there's a lot we can infer from the menus we have seen. Within the research lab are 5 major categories: pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. I think based on those categories, it's fairly safe to take a guess at what sort of things we'll be researching. Within pharmacology, I imagine we'll be able to research better recipes for consumable items that primarily enhance our abilities in combat, but I wouldn't rule out any sort of temporary enhancement consumable that aids across any aspect of the game. Pharmacology projects we've seen so far are Medical Treatment 1 and Performance Enhancement 2. I believe food and drink will allow us to create better quality items that have better regen over time effects, whether that be health, stamina, or something else entirely. As with most games, I think food will have longer duration buffs, but less impactful effects. Outpost development is where things start to get interesting. Much like an RTS or even mobile game, you'll need to research advanced versions and new components for your outpost. This will enhance and potentially unlock new aspects of outpost management, either yielding more resources or making your outposts more efficient. Outpost projects we've seen so far are Resource Extraction 1. The final two categories I think are pretty straightforward. Equipment will allow the player to research and unlock new and better sets of armor and armor mods, while weapons will allow players to unlock and create new weapons and weapon mods. Equipment and weaponry projects we've seen so far are helmet mods and barrel mods 1 and 2. While rather straightforward, I'm curious to see how deep, how impactful, and how grindy this system really is. You'll notice next to each category the total number of available projects. It's nearly a dozen or more per section, which, if you add them all up, could be a huge grind. It'll all depend on how easy it is to collect the various required materials needed to start a research project. The bottom line is this: progression is at the heart of any good RPG, and Starfield looks to be no different. From selecting your character's background to the research projects you'll complete along the way, every step of your galactic journey will take you one step closer to universal domination. We are almost there, friends. We've talked about nearly every major aspect of Starfield ahead of the game's launch. However, this is just the beginning. If Starfield is on your radar and you're excited about more videos like this after launch, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. Our team plans on covering Starfield from top to bottom, so be sure to keep it right here for more content. We also invite you to join us on Discord. Our community of nearly 20,000 strong is a great place to hang out, talk about games, win free prizes, and group up. If that's something you're interested in, check out the link below. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.